working.
Your kill button's not working? Well, that's it. You're disqualified from racing. Your kill tether doesn't work. The mini bike addiction is real. I blame John. It started with this horrible hunk of junk we hauled out of a legit junkyard. And now we're here messing around with this Coleman 200 series. A lot of you have asked me for a rundown on it and the different parts and change out in order to make it look like it is now. So that's what we're gonna do. I'll post a link for everything that I did for changes. The tires are SunF ATV road tires. They're 19-inch tall tires. And this is a motorcycle stabilizer with an adjustment on it so that you can freewheel it when you want to run around, and you can tighten it up when you're drag racing. These are actually grips that are made for baseball bats. One of the things that we figured out the other day was that if you slice it in half, this is half and this is half of a baseball bat wrap. So I'll post a link for those. It works out great. The bar is labeled as a Cafe Racer 7/8 bar. We actually ended up discovering that it wasn't 7/8. It's a little bit bigger. So we had to gouge out with a file the inside of our thumb throttle here. And this thumb throttle is what I universally use on just about everything because it is double adjustable. There's an adjustment here, there's an adjustment here, and if you upgrade to this style of YAMAKATO throttle setup that I use on this, you have a third adjustment here and here. These you have to drill out in order to be able to fit the cable on. I'll post a link for these also. I've started changing everything to these. The big question I get by everybody is the seat. This is a real motorcycle Cafe Racer seat that I ordered off of Amazon. I'll post a link down below. Basically, there are a series of bolts back there. I just made a big giant plate that sits right underneath this spot here and is supported all the way through to here. It has a tab in the front, and I welded a big giant nut on the underside of a piece of plate, and it slides right in. So if I want to take it off to get to anything, it's two 10mm locking nuts back there, and the whole thing slides out and lifts up. On the engine, we've got just our regular old-fashioned Chinesium Stage 1 intake. We have a standard little side pipe here. This is actually a little bit on the thin side and gives a kind of a burping sound. Part of that is I need to put a bigger jet in the carburetor because now that the flow is going on, we're leaning out a little bit. But that's where we're at right now. Hey John, can you help me with the other question I keep getting? So these Coleman 200s are really tall. They're an adult bike. John is basically what? You're like wannabe 5 foot?
Yep.
Okay, you're a wannabe 5 foot. See how you fit on my seat setup there.
It's wide.
Yeah, so it's wide. Can you plant both feet? If you stop, could you plant? Not quite. You're straining to be able to put both. Yeah, you're floating at least 1 foot. So that did manage to lower it because John could not foot plant on the original seat that I had on there, and he couldn't even foot plant when I moved the seat back and put it at an angle. So yes, that is way lower just for reference. Oh, and John just pointed out the foot pegs. So if we come around here, I'll post a link for these. They worked out really good. They're flip up foot pegs, and I just took a 1-inch piece of bar and I drilled a ton of 5/16 holes in them, and now I can slide the foot peg back and forth wherever it is that I need it. The other note that I have here is these on this frame are under the frame. And on a lot of mini bikes, I noticed that they were above the frame. but I'm running a 19-inch tire in the rear and not a teeny tiny little tire like a lot of other bikes. And that's why mine are under the frame. Just something to think on if you're building something. But there we go. That looks pretty good. Yeah, no, you have to put the center of your foot back onto those pegs. Yeah, there you go. You put the center and then, well, you look awkward. What are you doing? No. No. Just no. I don't know what that was, but it's not legal in the state of Maine. Oh, and I'll post a link for the kill tether, and people have asked if I could post a link for the brake lever that I ended up using on this. I did want to point out that for some reason, the brake cable works perfect, but because these are way lower than the originals, because the originals were like all the way up into here, the cable looks atrocious. It just kind of is what it is. But the funny thing is what I do is I use this loop on the cable for where to put my chin when I'm racing. So it worked out. Okay, you just look dumb. Don't do that. No. Yeah. No, you can't drive it. It does 38 point something miles per hour. It's too dangerous for you. I already don't like you doing 26 miles per hour or whatever that does down the driveway.
That's the sponsored one.
Oh, then what does this thing do with a weed whacker engine?
22.
22. Okay. So this does 22. Your Oxy Earth one from the sponsor did what?
26.
26. This does 38 plus, and we're going to be putting a torque converter on it, which should bring it up some more. And then I've got another mini bike coming in, hopefully next week, that we can expand the channel even more. But they're going to have to watch the next video. Oh, actually, you know what? We're posting this video to RCG Racing, which means they've got to watch Redneck Computer Geek channel to see the other mini bike that's coming in. See what I did there? I looped the two channels together so that people would come over to one and over to the other. That's a YouTuber trickums. Okay, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
No, you cannot drive it.
Dang it.
A few years ago, they reintroduced turkeys into Maine. And now, they are everywhere. In fact, if you're junking out vehicles, sometimes we call it a deer clip, sometimes we call it a turkey clip. But basically, if you remove the headlights, the grille, your front fenders, and the hood, that's because of these little buggers here and the deer when they're moving around. Yeah, get that Tom go for it. John said he thought he saw like 5 or 6 different chicks, but they tend to go up into the trees when they get scared and then come back down. Let's see, there's 3 chicks there, it looks like. Oh, there's 4. And, oh, there's 5. Cool.